Hello beautiful people, it's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today we're back again with another video, and this is from Piers. We're gonna be checking this together. Let's check it out.
It's a great world, this, isn't it? I mean, I was saying to you just in the break there that when I worked in tabloid newspapers, we wanted to kill each other, right? All the rival papers. In the YouTube world, it's the opposite. There's a lot of collaboration, helping each other, being on each other's shows and things. Why is that?
I think it's not a zero-sum environment anymore. Somebody watching your show doesn't take away from mine.
Yeah.
And that's not necessary. So I don't know how many people bought two papers. You know, if one paper had the scoop, that means that the other paper isn't getting it. So I'm all for the collaboration.
It's a big departure from how your life started. You've become incredibly popular. You've got over 3 million subscribers to your channel. Why? Why are people gravitating to you?
I think I try to provide a place where questions that you've always had about yourself or about the world get answered. Understanding human nature. Unfortunately, humans don't come with an operating manual. We kind of have to work it out ourselves. And the world that our parents found themselves in and the one that we're in are different again. So even the accumulated wisdom of our earlier generations don't necessarily work. And I think that providing people with a little bit of a roadmap and a place as well to remind them that if they've got these questions, if they're uncertain about the direction that they're going in life, if they're asking themselves, why am I so bothered about the opinions of others? And why do I feel this particular way when such a thing happens? And how should I deal with the breakup? And how should I deal with grief? I think that those are important conversations and I like having them. It was something that I needed toward the end of my 20s. You said I had a different life. I was a club promoter for a long time.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it when I was on the come up, and I'm trying to pay it forward.
Australia's just banned under 16s from all social media. What do you think of that?
I think it's a good idea. I am very concerned, like you are, about what social media does to young minds. The research from Jonathan Haidt, I have seen replication crisis come in. There's a lot of skepticism and criticism around that. But you can't deny, no matter what the mechanism is, you cannot deny the fact that teen mental health appears to be plummeting. And it's happened pretty precipitously, and it seems to be correlated with what's going on in social media.
And anxiety in particular. Why is that? Why is this young generation of people, you know, say 12 to 24, why are they so anxious?
I think there's a lot of reasons for this. Certainly one would be less time outside, less exercise, worse physical health. We had a discussion last time about mental health or physical health.
Yeah.
And the two work sympatically.
Yeah, they do.
Right? That if you have poor physical health because you're spending more time on screens because there's more to do inside, you're going to spend less time out and moving.
I sleep worse, and I wonder how much of it is sleep related. Like if I've not been doing much physical exercise, like I was in New York for the election, it was constant work, reading all the time, not really exercising, not even getting into the park. And I found that my sleep was affected more than it normally would be.
There's some evidence to suggest that people spend around about twice as long on screens as they do asleep per day. And the number one form of malnutrition now is not starvation, but obesity. Worldwide, there's twice as many people that are obese than starving. Now, I'm not saying that we need to make more people starve in order to rebalance this, but this just shows we've gone from a world of scarcity to one of abundance, and the problems are very different. You now need to be discerning as opposed to scouring.
And also, people place so much importance to social media that they actually fail to build real connection outside of social media, real connection in physical, where everything has to be all up on social media. So people put up everything on social media, which if we're being honest, it has both its pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, but it seems like people are using it excessively to the point where people think they get validation, or they get validated by the number of clicks, likes or followers they have on social media. So people measure their amount of success they get on social media to be their life goal and whatnot. Yes, social media is great to help build connection far abroad or far and wide or worldwide connection. We're not going to take that away because it can reach to people or connect to people from different parts of the world. But at the exact same time, people think that everything they see on social media validates what they do in their life. So obviously, people measure their accomplishment by the likes, clicks, and follows, and all of that. When in some majority of the time, it takes real work, and most of the time, if we're being honest, social media too has kind of made lots of people lazy, in the sense that people really don't want to um work for things like um do research to get the right information out there. They just wait because, I mean, before you know, clips are gonna circulate online, and people would believe just tiny set of clip or tiny clips that they saw without verifying or checking or researching if that information is true. So obviously it has its advantages and disadvantages. But at the exact same time, talk about the ban under 16. I think it's great because young people, especially kids, should have screen time limit. I mean, the society we get it, we live in the modern age where everything is modernized, technology and all of that. But it seems like people place so much importance on social media, screen, and all of that, that exactly people have actually lost focus or don't even pay attention to what is going on in their life or going on outside of social media or outside of technology anymore. Let me know what you think. If you're born in the age before or the era before technology, or you were born in the time where technology was still introduced into the society or into the introduced, let me know how you think. Let me know what you think between the difference between then and now. Do you think it was better off without technology, or now is better, or you think, or you're just in between, or you think it's a good mix of both, but both need to be controlled, or there should be a control one way or the other? Let me know what you think.
Young men have had a rough old decade, really. You can chart it to sort of when the Me Too Time's Up campaign hit, a crisis of perhaps confidence about what it means to be a man. How should you behave? Some of it was obvious, some of it not so obvious. A lot of blurred lines, a lot of moving pendulums and so on. Really interestingly, in the American election we've just had, a lot of young men, white, black, Latinos in particular, gravitated to Donald Trump, who'd surrounded himself with what they're calling the Broligarchy. So you got Trump, and they're all like alpha male guys. Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., you've got Vivek Ramaswamy. And then you've got the Jordan Petersons and the Joe Rogans out there in the YouTube world who are also supporting this. What do you think of the Broligarchy? Is it a long overdue, like, I don't know, what would you call it, a support group that's come for young men who just don't know quite what it means to be a man?
Interestingly, I don't think that the broligarchy or bro politics, as it's been coined, I don't think it's actually primarily about men. And I think that's what's really interesting. It's primarily about doing things that men typically have been good at, which is just getting shit done. They get things done. And it's an optimization now on effectiveness and efficiency over optics, right? It's on getting something created, regardless of how you appear. Elon had this really interesting discussion a while ago where he said, I care more about doing good than the appearance of looking good. And I think that world of the performative empathy, toxic compassion, victimhood mindset, I think that...
Virtue signaling.
Yes. I think that was... it was like a gold bar that was beaten down into a leaf so thin that if you poked it, a hole immediately went through it. It looked glitzy from the outside. It looked like it was legitimate. But really, when you poked it a little bit, we've seen this time and time again, whether it's individual authors or organizations or charities or movements or whatever, they're not as virtuous as they seem from the outside. And now you have people who have easily stress testable. Does your rocket go to space and come back?
Yeah.
Or does it explode? Does the Pentagon's budget get cut? Or does it not? Do we get better efficiency inside of government, or do we not? And this world of optimizing for facts and outcomes as opposed to optics, I think, is one that's long overdue. And the masculinity thing, you know, if that ends up bringing along for the ride a role model that says this is what a man can be, being able to achieve these things, there's no reason that it can't be. Tulsi Gabbard is right in the mix along with all of these people.
Right.
She seems to embody as many masculine virtues as...
Well, Trump actually has a lot of women in his nominated cabinet. A lot of women. I mean, it's one of the most diverse cabinets, actually, in terms of gender and race there's ever been.
Yeah, I you know, it's fascinating. And I think that creating a positive role model for men to look up to, for anybody to look up to that just wants some mastery and some upward aiming, meritocracy, you've said, has been under attack for a long time. I get the sense that you're right. And yeah, applauding, like, making achievement great again. Is not a bad...
No, I completely agree. It's reality. But this also plays into what Elon calls the woke mind virus. That a lot of what he's talking about is not based on reality. It's based on a weird kind of, I mean, I would say it comes down actually to, you know, my truth. As soon as I heard that phrase, I was like, what do you mean, my truth? And we heard it from Meghan Markle, and then all sorts of people started saying it. There is no such thing as my truth, is there? I mean, there's the truth, which is a fact-based thing, and then there's everything else. But you can't have your own version of truth, can you?
There's certainly a place for...
Do you ever use that phrase?
No, I've never used that, I don't think. But there is a place to do a devil's advocate thing. There are certain types of individual or personal experience that are very difficult to put in objective data, right? There are certain things that you've been through, ineffable parts of your personality, emotions, experiences, stories, and stuff that you've pieced together. Or if you say, well, show me where that appears on a balance sheet, you go, that's kind of hard to do. So there is a sense that we need to flesh out the way that people see the world in more than just what can be accounted for. But I think both of us would say the pendulum has swung far too far in one direction, which is that we're looking for taking everybody at their word as opposed to what does this actually mean?
Well, I remember also going back to the Me Too campaign, there was a weird thing to start with where all women must be believed.
Believe all women, yeah.
And I found that immediately, as a journalist, I just found that very incongruous. I was like, well, hang on, I've covered many court cases over the years where people have turned out to be lying, male and female, right? Why should you automatically believe people? Automatically listen to them, take what they say seriously if they're making allegations which are serious. You don't automatically believe anybody, not in my world. You listen. I mean, you can tell me stuff now. I'm not going to automatically believe you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what the world is trying to do, whether it's with the climate change debate, really overblowing the level of intensity that the rhetoric needs to be having, right? You're gluing yourself to the floor, or you're throwing soup over a painting, or whether it's with Me Too, believe all women, kill all men, you know, these sorts of campaigns. What they're trying to do is overshoot the target so much to actually come into land where they want. But that doesn't garner people to care more. What it does is it makes them feel like you're overblowing the entire conversation and it gets them to switch off.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Me Too probably was a reckoning that was needed to call powerful men to account for what they were doing.
I agree.
The problem was it sought to sanitize the toxic elements of male behavior. And instead it ended up sterilizing all of them.
Yes.
It made men terrified of women, and it made women incredibly nervous of being approached by men. So these gym videos, some girls doing horrible hip thrusts in a gym, and some guy glances over 3 times in 90 seconds. She tries to put it on the internet to flame him as, you know, this is a creep in the gym. So 2 things happen with that. First off, it makes men very nervous about approaching women in the gym. But the second thing is it gives other women a barometer for what is and isn't acceptable behavior by men. Now, thankfully, really interesting reversal of what could have happened. I think most people pushed back against those videos and said, I don't think that person's misbehaved. I think that you're being too sensitive, and that's actually not something you should pull them up on. But had it have gone in the other direction, you now have a generation of girls, millions and millions of girls who have seen that video, who think, if a man looks at me more than 3 times in 90 seconds when I'm in the gym, I should feel uncomfortable. This is creating the very fragility that we don't want in women. We want robust, strong, competent men as partners, and we want the same from women too. But the more that you hypersensitize everybody to this situation, I don't think it's a good environment.
Absolutely. And we need a mix of both masculine men and feminine women. But it seems like they're trying to put one against the other and making people too sensitive. Obviously, the election is an eye opener because lots of men got tired of the shenanigans and the society trying to make men weak and trying to silence men. And we don't need that. We need men to be strong. Exactly. We need strong men, and we need women to be in their feminine, and women to feel they can be protected by men, because now they're telling women that you don't need protection from a man, or you can you can do everything all by yourself because you don't need a man. There is no society that can survive, or nobody can survive. I don't think we can survive in the society without men. So we need a mix of blend of both. But it seems like there are some group of people who just want to go out there to prove a particular point, to say, oh well, this is what others have been saying, so obviously you can't trust men, you can't be protected by men because this is going to happen. If this can happen to me, then it can happen to you. That's kind of ideology. That is what they want to breed. When in real sense, when you look at it, it necessarily does not even mean, or it is not the way the person is portraying it, but people just want to get all over too sensitive, or just in their mind or in their head sway too much just because they want to prove a point. And this is the exact same thing we said in the earlier part of the video, where people do take just tiny clip based on what they heard and analyze it and believe it to be true without checking or thoroughly finding out what was the reason behind this. Because I mean, the society just automatically wants to believe one side of the story without weighing everything and say, okay, let us critically or analyze this thoroughly to know where all of this began or how this all started. I think we can do better in the society by analyzing things instead of just jumping into conclusion based on just 5 seconds clip or 30 seconds clip you saw on the internet and believe it to be true. Then they talk about believe all women. I think this is where the problem lies, because people tend to believe that, oh, once a woman says something, it automatically is supposed to be true or it's supposed to be real, when majority of the time it may not be so. It's just some people who just want to use that to prove a point, the exact same thing we keep saying, just because they think or they heard a particular story and whatnot and say, okay, well, if this happened to somebody, then it may also happen to them. So they would try to get up something. And we've also checked a couple of videos where a couple of women falsely accused men of essaying them, which it wasn't even true. And they made up a story that sounded so believable, which I mean, we have to really check that. Is it true? Is the believe all women getting too far or becoming too far? Because it's crazy out there. Let me know what you think.
Is Donald Trump a good role model for men,
That's an interesting one.
given how many have gravitated to him?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's kind of part of a past gone era in a way. He's very old school.
And yet here he is at this election campaign every week at the rally dancing to a gay anthem. YMCA by Village People. The supposed biggest bigot in America literally choosing
Maybe one of the gayest songs of all time.
the gayest song of all time. And now all of America is mimicking his dad dance to YMCA.
Yeah. Well, look, if that's what peak masculinity has gotten to, we've gone full circle from Andrew Tate to Trump doing the YMCA. Yeah, that's full metrosexual.
I mean, I think Trump, I could construct a negative characterization of him, but also having known him 20 years, I can also construct a positive one.
Mm-hmm.
He has a remarkable resilience about him. He has incredible mental strength. I mean, we saw that when he actually got physically shot and got back up in defiance and then got back on rally stages afterwards, which I don't think many people might have done. He's got an incredibly thick skin, thin one too.
It's an odd blend, that.
Huh?
It's an odd blend.
Well, it's almost unique in that he reacts to absolutely everything, but he can soak up everything. So most public figures, if they had a tenth of what Trump's had to take on and endure, would have crumbled. And they certainly wouldn't have come back from all the stuff that he's had. But he has got extraordinary resilience. I mean, and it's a really commendable trait, I think. I mean, his comeback story is for the ages. It's an interesting mix, though, isn't it, with him?
It's fascinating. Yeah, the fact that you have somebody who, by all accounts, is quite sort of fragile in their reactivity, quite easy to trigger. You saw this even during his debate with Kamala, that she was able to just throw
crowd
out
sizes.
Exactly. And immediately the masculine urge to not be outdone at a rally surfaces. But on the other side of that, you're right. I mean, I said this on the show. I got a bit of stick for it on Modern Wisdom, but I said that when I saw Trump get up and do the fight thing, that was I think the first time where I saw him as an admirable person.
Yeah.
I'd seen him as somebody that did things that were kind of impressive or whatever, but I'd not really just spent that much time assessing him as a human. I thought, I don't know really anybody that could have would have done that. And 78, 77, however old he is. And, there is no amount of media training or contrived narcissistic pathology that can get you to be shot in the head and then within 15 seconds, stand up and think and do that. It's deeper than that. And I think that it's interesting you mentioned it on the show that we just did. How much of a turning point was that? Because we all made the same comment.
I think it was huge.
But we all made the same comment, which was how quickly the press moved on.
Yeah.
How quickly everybody forgot about that situation. And then there's a second one, and then there's the hot swap, and then it's Brat Summer, and then before you know it, it's October. But I wonder how much of that lingered in the back of people's minds.
I think a lot. I think it showed American strength under fire. And I think that people, particularly Americans, they come from a young country, very young country, certainly compared to here, a country that's been full of gunfire. I mean, literally from from the War of Independence to the Civil War.
It's in his blood.
I just think it's in American blood. It is this sense of gunfire. It's been pervasive in society there. It is now 400 million guns in circulation. To see a guy who was recently president, who's running again, actually take as he put it to me, take a bullet for democracy, which is a great line and actually true. Someone trying to stop him being president by shooting him. It was extraordinary, A, how he reacted, B, how people then responded. And I agree with you. I think a lot of people quietly went, okay, that's changed my view about it.
Talking about the rest of that administration, last time I was on, we spoke about a list of things that were toxic masculinity, wearing Axe body spray, saying hello or have a nice day. I'm not sure if you noticed that during the run-up to the election, Politico said that J.D. Vance's beard was toxic masculinity. So yeah, his beard may be seen as especially by women, as aggressive and not conforming to feminist ideals.
Yeah, but you see, I think it's that kind of thinking on the left, which has been their really big problem. Yes, they failed to get a grip of cost of living and illegal immigration and those other issues, but it is that kind of bullshit, which I think a lot of American, particularly younger men, black men, Latino men, white guys, and they've all just gone, this is just such bullshit.
What it shows is people who are not really concerned with real issues. And what the subtext of that is, if you're bothered about the facial hair of a candidate, what it suggests is that you have so much time on your hands that you can consider this stuff and consider it important. Meanwhile, the normal American voter, is that guy or girl really thinking, look, I have so much luxurious time on my hands that I can work out the misogyny level of J.D. Vance's beard. Speaking of that, I've never seen you really rock much facial hair. So you think?
Oh, no, I have.
Is that a defense mechanism against misogyny, or what's?
I actually never shave on vacation. And if I have a long one, it can be like 3-4 weeks. I'm the full, yeah.
I want to see a selfie of that on your Instagram next
Well, it's actually my Instagram profile picture.
Is it really?
In fact, it's me smoking a cigar with a Panama hat, with a full facial hair, yeah. It's a real, like,
being very misogynistic at the same time.
It's a Pablo Escobar kind of vibe, which is ironic, because tonight I'm actually winning an award for Cigar Smoker of the Year.
You're kidding me.
Oh, true.
What does that mean? You've done the most? You've got the
I actually only smoke about 4 or 5 a year, and I've never smoked cigarettes. But when I smoke them, it obviously sends such a powerful, overwhelming
so
thing to the cigar world.
It's you and Andrew Tate influencing the
actually,
cigar
no,
smoking
it's
world.
Actually Ray Winston is getting one, and Kelsey Grammer.
Wow. But yeah, look, going back to the oligarchy thing, I think it's cool. I think, Vivek.
Yeah, I do.
Even 6 months, 9 months ago, when Vivek was maybe still in the running for stuff and he was doing topless videos of him smashing forehands on the tennis court, captioned with debate prep.
And RFK was doing the same thing.
I saw RFK do
the press ups,
50 pull-ups on Aubrey Marcus's ranch in Austin, Texas, about 9 months ago. Awesome. Really cool. It's just falconry. There's nothing more alpha than falconry.
Here's what I think, though. I've interviewed most of those guys, right? So I've interviewed Trump maybe 40 times. I've not interviewed Elon, but I had some time on my own with him in the summer for about an hour and a half. It was fascinating. I've interviewed RFK maybe 4 or 5 times, Vivek 3 or 4 times, Jordan Peterson many times, including quite recently, amazing interview. And I really enjoy interviewing these people. They're very smart. They're very interesting. They have different views about the way to tackle stuff to what I would call establishment figures in politics or media. I can absolutely understand why Trump has gravitated to them. And I don't think everything they're going to do is going to work, but it's going to be one hell of a ride watching people who don't think in a conformative way about how to tackle issues, actually tackle issues.
What have we seen over the last couple of weeks? Cenk Uygur tweet Elon Musk saying, I can help you cut the government spending in the Pentagon.
And Bernie Sanders supporting it.
Bernie Sanders complimenting Elon Musk. If you'd said Elon Musk would be aligned with Donald Trump 15 years ago, that would have probably been a massive surprise.
Yeah.
But then if you'd said he's going to go sort of all the way right, be the single biggest donor, organize the campaign, do this stuff on the ground in Pennsylvania, and then Bernie Sanders is going to come along and support him, and Cenk Uygur's going to be like, what? Like Avengers Assemble? What is this? Are we trying to fight Thanos? And I don't know. It'll be we spoke about this before. It'll be very interesting to see where the Democrats go from here. I don't see a hopeful vision on that side.
They need to have a centrist candidate. I mean, I was told that behind the scenes, Bill Clinton was trying to get them off a lot of the woke agenda stuff, like the trans athletes and women's sport issue and so on. He just said this is just a complete vote loser, right? Because most Americans do not agree with this.
The main thing as well, I think, it's not so much that guys are moving toward the right. They're
being pushed away from the left.
Correct. The left largely has left them. There is no evidence. This is from Richard Reeves. There is no evidence that men are any less supporting of gender equality. Zero evidence. But all of the different policies. The same number of men die per year from suicide as women do from breast cancer. The same number of men. There is not a single direct, focused men's health organization inside of the CDC. None. Despite the fact that men die so much sooner than women, men take their lives, men are more likely to be addicted, more likely to be homeless, more likely to be on the streets, all of the stats that we all already know. The Harris campaign, when they had that homepage, I'm sure that you covered it, every different group in the book, which was the one that was missing.
Yeah.
Men.
Yeah.
So it feels like kind of like righteous retribution in some way that the group that you demonized, the group that you ignored, the group that you didn't care about, ended up saying, okay, if you don't want me at your party, so be it.
I completely agree.
And obviously, the election is an eye opener for lots of men, especially because, and for some women as well, because now you know the side that actually wants strong men and the side that wants feminine men or weak men. And we need masculine men. Society survives or thrives on strong men, and we have to be honest, we have to give that, because obviously men, just like what was said, men don't really have programs that cater for them, their needs or what they go through, and more like their voices aren't heard, or they don't have a representative or mentors or people that coaches meant to be responsible, just like, or programs for men, just like how much we have with women. And we need a mix of that. So obviously, when they see somebody that they want to be like, that embodies masculinity, then they gravitate towards it. Unlike the society trying to put men up against women or women up against men, to say women can be men, strong, independent women that don't need a man. We all need men. Then the part where if a man is being in his masculine nature and whatnot, they tell me to be toxic masculinity and all that BS, and trying to say, oh, women don't need protection from men. I don't know how we got here, but obviously this election is an eye opener to tell you that we need strong men, and it is a good thing, or it is good to have men who are strong in the society. It is, I don't think the society can survive without strong men, and also without feminine women. Let's not exclude that. But I really love your thoughts and your contribution in the comments below. What do you think about the conversation? Obviously, you can share your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff.